And all right, we are back. Hey, AJ, how's it going?
Well, Paul, it's going great, thank you.
Great to see you again.
Oh, man, great to be here.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, sir.
We're
Beautiful.
starting season 2.
Yeah,
So, New Year.
2020 is going to be big for Soundscapes Media.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, for our return viewers and for our new viewers, why don't you introduce yourself and your raison d'etre?
I am AJ from Radio KAJW, that is broadcast on live365.com. And there's been a lot of improvements on Live 365. The app has been redone and it works even better than before. There's a lot of exciting things happening with Live 365. So if you go over to live365.com on your browser and search Radio KAJW, you will find our 24/7 international radio streaming service. And also there's an app on your app store for Live 365, and that works great. You can use it in the car and everything.
Yeah. I've got it on my phone, and it's great. You can take it anywhere.
So there you go. That's my current
pitch. Well, and of course, I'm Paul with Soundscapes Media Group, a relatively new record label specializing in audiophile vinyl and all the music that's beautiful and fit to press. And this podcast is brought to you by Soundscapes Media Group. I'm sure you'll see it somewhere in the watermark. Okay, and with that, one of the biggest, let's say, ceremonies of vinyl ownership is that moment when you just kind of thumb through your collection looking for some inspiration. And tonight I had a little bit of a different experience because, of course, we've lost a really important person in the music community, Jeff Beck, which has really kind of gutted me. And I was flipping through my collection, and I'm carrying around a bunch of Jeff Beck records, and what I realized is that's now it's a time capsule, and it's my personal collection of music that I've played over and over again, and I've had a connection and with those records, and somehow having those in my collection this evening felt different. It felt special. It was like there's still a little bit of him left in the record collection. So
that moment of any of our heroes or music icons, legends, people that we've grown up with since we were kids, that moment when they pass away, that feeling is bizarre, isn't it? How your record collection changes.
It all of a sudden became more meaningful. All of a sudden it was just like, oh, wow. It hurts, but somehow I'm soothed by having these little remembrances. And
and you're tied into each one of those records.
Completely.
Everybody like that. We've been listening to his records, consistently over 30 years, right? Easily. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, just recently I was sort of waxing nostalgic with a friend, and I remember gazing at the Epic record label, and Beck was on Epic for quite a few years, so many years that Epic changed their logo at least 3 times on the center label. And so one of my early Jeff Beck records have the simple Epic yellow with it's kind of a oxblood print, very basic. And then sometime in the 80s, I think, they switched to a black to dark blue gradation, and then they had the very stylized Epic script.
In between that, in the 70s, they went to the orange label.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, it and even that is kind of a little bit of a time capsule. I mean, it really just kind of identifies an era, and it's quite good. Okay, so the spirit of vinyl, of course, is always sharing beautiful music with friends. And what have you got to share with us this evening?
My pick this evening is from a legendary classic rock musician. It is to me, maybe the most underrated Neil Young record. It's Silver and Gold. The year that it was recorded is 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe it's 2000, but it is.
Hmm.
Um, the the most impressive thing right off the bat is the musician lineup. It's was it produced by Ben Keith also? Let me just see. Yeah, produced by Ben Keith and Neil Young. So the band is steel guitar Ben Keith, drums Jim Keltner, and Oscar Butterworth played on a couple. Piano organ Spooner Oldham, Donald Duck Dunn on bass, and of course Neil Young on guitar, piano, and harmonica. Additional vocals Ben Keith, Emmylou Harris, and Linda Ronstadt. Uh, Recorded by Tim Mulligan, John Nowland, and John Houseman, actually, which I don't really know those guys. But anyway, it's a uh-oh, it freeze up. Incredibly beautiful recording.
Yeah.
And it's it's on the mellow side of his repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
But it's spectacular. It's an
Yeah.
amazing album and filled with just amazing songs. Buffalo Springfield Again is a clever
Right.
little ditty. And the title track Silver and Gold, I think, is one of the was played on the radio, and also a song called Razor Love.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, if you're a Neil Young fan, or even if you're not, and you haven't heard this record, this is it's a 10. I give it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So and to me that's saying something, considering it's Neil Young and not a lot of people know about it. I think they don't anyway.
Well, thank you for sharing. You know, I just learned a little Neil Young trivia last week, so it's interesting that you bring this artist to our podcast. Um, I heard a very fresh version of the Nicolette Larson tune "Lotta Love," and I thought, "Lotta Love." You know who wrote the Nicolette Larson song "Lotta Love"? Neil Young. And the connecting person between Neil Young and Nicolette Larson was Ted Templeman, who brought the song to Nicol. They shopped it around, but anyway, Neil's done a version, but the one that everyone's familiar with is the Nicolette Larson version.
It's a great record.
It's a great song. I mean, I was like, you you can hear it once you know it, but you know the recording that Nicolette did was really good. So okay, on my disc share tonight is the Inception by McCoy Tyner. This is the McCoy Tyner trio. So Art Davis and Elvin Jones. Art Davis is bass and Elvin Jones is drums. Um, Many will know of McCoy Tyner as the pianist for the John Coltrane Quartet, and he recorded over 80 albums between 1962 and 2009, which is his span. And indeed, this record is the first, Inception. It was recorded in January in 1962 by Rudy Van Gelder in his studio up in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. Um, the title track Inception is really beautiful, but the song that I really enjoy is actually on the second side opening. It's called Sunset. It just is a really heartfelt, you know, piano jazz composition. It's really extraordinary. So I highly recommend this.
I know that it's a classic jazz record. I mean, I've seen it a million times, and I don't, other than probably hearing tracks from the radio, I've never sat down and listened to the album. So I will definitely be inspired to do that.
Yeah, this is good chill out. I share a lot of music with my son, and this is often what we put on, and we just listen to aside. Just a nice 20 minute. It's good. It's good.
Cool.
Stretches the brain. All right. Also, I wanted to share a new product and announcement with you. The cedar turntable. It's a beautiful furniture grade turntable from the Eats people. We'll put some notes in the show notes and also in the captions where you can find this. But we're advocating the vinyl lifestyle, and we wouldn't be doing it a service if we weren't advocating some hardware. And I think that as the news recently reported that um, vinyl LP sales have reached an all-time peak. Well, all-time, not all-time in the last 30 years, I think. Um, that people are starting to re-equip, and the hi-fi manufacturers are responding by bringing out new products for the vinyl market. And so now is the time to upgrade some of your equipment and stop streaming and start spinning. So
That table is a beauty.
it is. It is. And there are so many turntable options these days. You can be a vinyl enthusiast and spend as little as $50 on a turntable that'll do all right, and a few $100s gets you into a high fidelity uh, class that would allow you to really appreciate the response of a solid 180 gram audiophile vinyl record. And you can spend a lot more than that, but you don't need to. And that's one of the beauties. It's a really good a format that's robust enough to adapt to all sorts of audio systems. What's next on the agenda? Normally, at this point, we share a record that we both know, and I was talking earlier about Joni Mitchell and Court and Spark. There's a great story behind that both you and I know slightly different sides of it, but I think it's common knowledge that Joni and David Geffen were vacationing in Paris. I guess they had another couple with them, which I and anyway, "Free Man in Paris," which is one of the greatest tracks on this record, is Joni's sort of ode to David Geffen and just him being part of the star making machine, and he was always doing business. But this is the one with Court and Spark, "Help Me," and "Free Man in Paris." Those are the tunes that open this record, right?
She's at her peak during that
Yeah,
record, for
she
sure.
absolutely was. And the players on this, Joe Sample and Tom Scott and Max Bennett on bass, and it's just on and on and on. A lot of great people on this. Uh, and don't forget, side B has got "Down to You" and "Raised on Robbery." So I mean, again, this is there's not a single bad song. The art is great. It's just
I think she painted that. No,
I don't know if she painted this one. I know that she has definitely done the art on her other albums, but it's just proper. Lyrics, monochrome, image.
is that a reissue or an original copy?
Uh, I think this is a reissue, and this is 180 grams, so this is a
Nice.
reissue. Um, and this is Asylum, and this it just feels right. Beautiful gatefold.
You've
There you
inspired
go.
me to put that on too. I haven't
Yeah,
listened to that in a
exactly.
long time. I will.
It's a good one. Just put on a side tonight. All right. And one last thing to share with you before we finally close. So we sort of been doing a little bit of, I guess I've been in a jazz piano mood tonight. So my favorite Soundscapes Media Group jazz piano album is the Greg Spiro acoustic record. This features Greg Spiro on piano, Matt Ullery on bass, and Micaiah McCraven on drums. And so in many ways, it's a jazz three-piece combo, in the vein of the McCoy album I shared earlier.
Sweet.
Um, this is a great recording. It was recorded all live by Craig Bauer in Chicago, and this was a great collaboration between our Tiny Records, Greg's label, and my label. And it's on 180 gram vinyl, and it sounds great, and it takes you on a musical journey of discovery and realization. So yeah, good one. Um, so we've been doing the podcast for a while, and we've been more and more active on social media. So all the viewers to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and we've got two YouTube channels. Yes, you'll find it
That's it,
all.
man. Hit the like button. Subscribe.
Yeah, we are social media pandering right
Yeah.
now. So we're not too proud
No,
about
no,
that.
we're having fun.
But we would love your feedback because I want this world to expand. It's a beautiful format. It's a beautiful world. This music on vinyl, and like I said when we opened this episode, these are keepsakes. It's functional art, and it has a physical value, but it also has an emotional component. This keepsake, and I don't know that you have that in a download. You definitely don't have it in a download. I don't think you have it on a stream, and yeah, I mean,
The physical act of dropping the needle into the vinyl grooves
yeah,
and the sound coming through your stereo is it's almost there's something burning the music into your life at
yeah,
that particular time
yeah,
where you brought up you've talked to me, we both have with each other about it being a time capsule where 5 years down the line, especially if you love the record, you're going to be able to recall those times when you heard it in the past, where I don't ever think that happens with digital music. I just don't. There's something about the physicality of vinyl that connects it to real time. It's
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I think you're absolutely right. There's just a little bit more contemplation involved. All of the acts are engagement acts, right? I mean, you have to thumb through your library, you have to pull it out, you have to put it on the turntable, you've got to clean it, and then you have to gently put your stylus down, and then you enjoy, right? And I think it's so important to be filling the room with the sound, not just into your headphones are great for a real sort of a vacation, but music should be airborne, man. It should be shared with family and friends, whenever possible. And music on vinyl is just that on steroids. So yeah, and it becomes more significant when you least expect it. So,
Right.
okay, it's always a pleasure talking to you about vinyl and waxing philosophically. And let's get together and do this again.
Looking forward to the next time, Paul.
Okay, man. Thanks.
Thanks. Good night.
Have a good one.